We are back in our new favorite place, Courtyard Marriott downtown.
Come enjoy it.
Another
Warriors Plus Minus. It's a scene.
Maybe, if you, Tim Kawakami, pull some strings, we can get that bistro open, and I can get me a sandwich before we
record. The guys
record.
do it in the morning. The 3rd and 20 podcast is here in the – I shouldn't even give it up there. We probably shouldn't reveal all our secret little spaces here. But they order up stuff. They have a little breakfast.
That's what I'm looking for. I want some of that action,
we can't do that. I just had lunch anyway. So
make it happen, TK. This is Marcus Thompson.
Marcus' daughter getting free stuff.
Yeah. So my daughter's here with me, right? And she's been good. So I was like, all right, get a snack. So she gets the biggest bag of Doritos they have, which is totally violation of everything. And she knows it. She knows in this situation, get the worst stuff that she will never get. She gets a big bag of Doritos and a 8-pack of Oreos, it looks like, or whatever. Stuff that we're going to have an argument about it when I get home, right? It's it'll be you gave her Doritos and Oreos? So I'm keep it under $5 because I'm teaching her money and all that. $5, take it back if it don't work. They give it to her for free.
I was a witness to this.
For free. Happened. I'm dude, I'm trying to teach her how to
count money.
She
could have said it cost $5 and then kept the money, but she
would have had to give me back my $5.
No, she could have kept it.
She had not. I gave her 10. That's what I was I gave her 10. I wanted her to bring back and understand. I'm trying to teach her how to do that. He gives it to her for free.
The lessons in Marcus Thompson.
Unbelievable, right?
Anyway, I was here for.
This is Warriors Plus Minus. Could be parenting plus minus, but this is Warriors Plus Minus. We are back and just in time for the Warriors are about to take on the Detroit Pistons for the end of that road trip.
Try to finish up 6-0.
6-0, but
we were talking 3-3, by the way, a week ago.
Unbelievable, right? 3-3.
I would say 3-3 wouldn't be that bad.
You were saying that. You were saying, hey, 3-3 is a great road trip.
That's a regular road trip for a good team.
Now, so we didn't get it. We recorded before Kevin Durant does his 35-point triple-double at Charlotte, which is where Steph usually dominates.
By the way, we recorded before Steph got hurt.
Yeah, we did. That's right, we did.
You might want to include that part.
That's right. Yeah. We did record before he got hurt.
Wow. Now, he was hurt with a hand, but not the ankle.
The new ankle injury. Yeah. What were your thoughts? We talked about this. I wrote about it. What were your thoughts when you saw that ankle injury?
I know a lot of people were doing flashbacks.
That was total PTSD moment.
A lot of people. I didn't hear the one that I thought of was the Jimmer Fredette one. Remember in Sacramento where it was kind of non-contact, and I remember that one as being that to me was, okay, this is messed up because he can't even change directions. I don't even know if that ended up being serious or not, but it just seemed like the ankle went the same way. This time, I wasn't going nuts like everyone else. This is a normal basketball injury. That one was just kind of you step on somebody's foot, your ankle goes out, and I'm not sure this is true. I've always kind of believed if your ankle goes out instead of in, it's better.
No question. Yeah. Monte's went in.
Yeah.
That's what his problem was. His broke
exactly.
in.
So if Steph's his ankle went out, obviously not good, and with his ankle you never know. But man, he was kind of limping around. I just didn't. My first reaction was this isn't probably that bad. Again, that's me. I could have been wrong, and we still might end up being wrong. But I didn't think it was that bad. Maybe you had a different reaction.
No, I didn't think it was that bad. I'm with you. The ones you want to worry about are the phantom ankle injuries.
Yeah.
Are the ones where there's no contact, right? That's the one, like the Jimmer Fredette. He's guarding the guy, and he just tries to plant and change direction.
Then he goes
and you didn't even know something happened until he starts limping. The one for me was the San Antonio one where he gets the rebound on a fast break. I'll never forget this because in the locker room after that game, he was depressed. It was the only time ever Steph asked, could he not talk? He tries to push off on a simple fast break, ankle bends, and then he's out. It's those you worry about.
That's a weak ankle.
Those are the ones that are troublesome. But that did bend kind of far.
Yeah. No question.
The ground.
It wasn't a keep playing through it.
I immediately thought that's a 2 to 4 weeker right there. That's what I thought.
It's what it is. It's what it is. It's an NBA ankle roll. And when you're in his position, when he's had those surgeries that he's had, I think it's maybe more than 2 weeks just to make sure. But I think that's the thing is he's been through obviously way more than any. Maybe you've been through it as much as him because you've written about him. But because we've got this experience with his ankles, we can go, you know what, that one, on a scale of 1 to 10, that's like a 3. And maybe if it was someone else who hasn't been through this, you don't, you go, okay, I don't know what this is. This one, I just thought, okay, if he comes out of it, he's limping around, but he's not like completely out of it. Probably 2 to 3 weeks. I honestly thought that. Now, but if it was, some other thing, if he's got to be helped off the court, if he's, screaming in agony, I might have thought something, but none of that was there. So I don't think he's going to be out that long. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be recurring. You never know. And like someone wrote for us that night, it might be pretty good for him. It might be kind of like everyone else. Okay, you got it. Now you were bored this season. You could just turn it on and beat. Now you're not bored anymore because you don't have 30 to just everything just revolves around him. You got to go do it. You got to revolve around yourself a little bit. And Sean Livingston and Patrick McCaw, who's out by the way, but that won't be too long. Obviously Durant, Draymond when he gets back in. You guys got to initiate. You can't just stand around and wait for 30 to initiate. You got to do it yourself.
You can't wait for defenders to just leave.
And
right?
to quote you again, what is the story of this team still is they're great when Curry's on the floor. They're not good when Curry's off the floor. Even with Durant, Kerr's basically given up on it and just plays Curry with Durant most of the time. And now Curry's off the floor. Let's see how everyone else aligns up with it, and I think it's going to end up being at least neutral for them and maybe good for them.
When they were talking about it, right, both Durant and Steve Kerr played down the let's get this is now Durant thing. He's going to just take over and be Oklahoma City Durant. They talked about the offense and movement, and how Steve said this is a time we need to execute better. And then Durant goes out and gets 28 shots, and he gets to be Durant. Yeah. I wonder do you think they stick with that? Like, hey, Durant, you take the shots, you kind of run point in a sense, or do they actually focus on, like, getting the offense more fine-tuned and putting him in roles where he would be if Steph was there? My
practical answer is they'll see how he feels in the first 2 shots. And
if he's feeling it, right,
then you keep going. But also, that's the Kerr answer probably. But, man, did you see the first time they got the ball, they throw it to Durant, who brings it, period. It wasn't even like, someone else kind of do it.
That
and
was
then
the first part. Like, he did all that, and it was immediate.
Then, by the way, Kevin, you bring it up, and you go do whatever you want to do. I think philosophically, they would much rather it to become naturally. But the way this works is Kevin Durant's their bailout, and Kevin Durant's their first option. So if he's their first and last option, you're going to skip over stuff because he's the guy. So we'll see. If he misses a couple shots, somebody great is on him. Although I thought Kid Gilchrist would be somebody that would be tough for him, and it wasn't that tough.
I mean, he did take some tough shots,
but he
they're
took
normal Durant shots. Yeah.
And if you give him a couple easy ones, the tough ones become a lot easier for him because he just feels that basket. He's such a feel shooter. And we'll see. I don't know who Detroit's going to put on him. There's many teams that don't have any option to really go guard Durant fairly one-on-one. They might double him and see what else happens. But I just think it's going to be, Kevin, if you got it, you go. If you don't got it, then we'll work the offense. And that's a little different for the Warriors because you don't have to do that for Steph. But they'll lean it more towards Durant, and he'll want to.
He totally wanted to, right? You can see after the game, he's like, I had to go in my bag, right? I had to pull out some tricks. Like, you could tell he's been wanting to do that more, and it is a sacrifice for him. Like, you think about this: when's the last time Kevin Durant put up 28 shots?
Yeah.
Like, Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah. He's done it in spurts with the Warriors.
Yes.
And
like
in the playoffs
against Oklahoma City, right? They're like, hey, just feed them.
Exactly. But in the playoffs, the Utah series, there were some games there where, okay, it's a little tight here, and we're just going to be 4 minutes.
Like,
you just go. You just go. But over a full game where he's felt free to do that, no. And also, it's for some reason, we talk about motion, we talk about movement, we talk about equal opportunity offense, but it really is important to these guys to touch the ball early in the possession. Do you touch it early in the possession or late in the possession? That's one of those things with Westbrook he doesn't really say, but in Oklahoma City, Westbrook dribble, doesn't have anything, 8 seconds left on the clock. Okay, Kevin, go do something. If Kevin touches it early in the clock
and gives it up,
then he knows he's got it coming back, and he's initiated some kind of action that he can react to. It's just the way these guys operate. You wouldn't think it would be that predicated on it, but man, it just told both of us, when he gets the ball, the first possession, they just throw it right to him. That tells you what everybody, and maybe the teammates are thinking it more than Kerr almost. Like, that's the guy. Yeah. Here's our guy. Let's go.
I was wondering, like, how Steve was going to play this, but I mean, he said it. But then he wasted no time. And then, even starting Quinn Cook, we know he likes to put that really end of the bench guy in the starting unit to keep the rotation the same, keep the veterans comfortable. But he went and got a guy who would never demand the ball from Kevin Durant.
And by the way, also you start Jordan Bell.
Yeah,
you've got three guys who aren't going to shoot. Jordan Bell, Zaza Pachulia, and Quinn Cook. So what are you saying? You're saying Kevin,
KD, do your thing,
go,
please.
and Clay, as always, will work off the action of someone else.
Do this, Kevin. Please go take this. And you know what? He did it, right? He looked good. He came through in the clutch. The interesting part for me, though, was how good they were defensively, even without Draymond. Now, some of that is Charlotte. It's interesting because Steven Silas is an offensive wizard, and they couldn't score.
Those guys can't shoot at all. Those guys can't shoot.
But they really locked it in without Draymond, and it's going to be interesting tonight. I don't think Draymond's playing, correct? Right?
I would think. I mean, again, they haven't. There probably has been an update. We're talking right.
Oh yeah. Slater definitely confirmed that he's playing. Yeah, there's no way he's missing a game in his home state.
After missing a couple already.
That's probably why he sat that one out, right? Like,
make sure
I'm ready for.
Make sure.
But the way they're defending, Steve and Ron Adams, that gets you crazy shots, right? Like if they defend like that, they're so much more inclined to say, yeah, don't worry about that. Kind of contested, probably not in the flow of offense, step away three. And I wonder, this is going to be the test against Detroit before they come home, because if they win this and go 6-0, they've got a pretty soft schedule coming up.
They're at home a ton.
And off days in between. These next 9 games are kind of spread out. This might be time for the Warriors to do what Boston's done, what Cleveland's done, this run that we know they can do.
That's without Steph, by the way.
Without Steph, right?
Yeah, I guess so. We'll see. I think this is going to be a really tough game.
I do
too.
It's a
really tough game. Van Gundy's a good
game into the road trip. Those are always hard.
Brutal. It's cold. Clay doesn't like that. We've gone through all these things. Zaza won't be playing. They might get into some foul trouble with Garden Drummond. But again, as we always say, if you circle a game and say that one's a tough one for them, they usually end up winning it.
Wasn't it the 6-game road trip when they lost to the
7th game?
The Bucks?
Yeah, that was they lost the 7th game. They went 6-0.
Last game is so
the 6th
tough,
game was the double overtime
to
Boston game, and then they lose the 7th game to Milwaukee. So we'll see. Although this is all going to sound so outdated because we're doing it before the game, but everyone will listen to it during the game. I'll make a prediction. I say they lose the game. And
I think they're going to lose tonight.
We might look really bad.
I think they're going to lose too. I think they're just.
It's an honorable loss. You go 6-0, you lose the last game in Detroit, and
you don't have 2 starters, and you're half of them are mentally already back in the Bay anyway, right? Like, man, we won 5
They're
games.
talking about Christmas already. So.
I know, right? Yeah. Now, when you look at how long Steph is out, Steph. We know Steph. At some point in 2 weeks, he's going to start saying, hey, I think I'm ready.
Back a little quicker in 2 weeks. That one? Yeah, we've been through that one.
We know what's coming.
We've been through that one. He'll start dribbling. He's out there shooting. Oh, wait a minute. He looks pretty good shooting.
And you better believe Bob Myers is going to be in on this situation. Yeah. When do you bring him back? Do you try to get him back? Do you get him back for Christmas, the big national game, especially with Adam Silver putting a premium on these national games?
He can't do it on.
This is a situation,
not
right?
With a guy's ankle.
This is a situation where he's really hurt, right? Yeah. They've got that, but if he can play, do you play him, or do you how far do you push this out?
I think Christmas is going to be right on the borderline. That's what I think, and they'll leave it up to him at some point, but. Until they think he's totally ready, they might go 2 more games after that.
100% plus some time,
but
right?
Steph might say, I'm 100%, let's go. And if he says I'm 100%, let's go, then you go. And I think that's going to be Cleveland. Now, do you want that to be his first game back? Whatever. There's all these little, percentage calls, but I would think it's going to be 100% plus 2. And that, to me, would take it right at the Christmas game. And so I'm expecting to see Steph in the Christmas game.
I'm thinking the game before the Christmas game.
Or the game before the Christmas game.
I'm thinking the game before. Because if you're not back by Christmas game, why come back this calendar year?
Yeah, well, why come back until February if you didn't?
Come back in January.
Steph, you got December off.
Steph, KD, just ride this out.
KD, you got mid-January to mid-February.
KD's like, man, Steph, you good? You need more time, Steph.
Quinn Cook's looking pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Let's go,
you
Quinn
fine,
Cook.
Man. Just take all the time you need. I like this.
KD averaging 31 points a game in the meantime. Yeah,
that's right. KD's like, man, I'll see you in January. You're fine. I do wonder, though, because we've seen the Warriors with a little bit different of a mindset. Does Steph push now? Or does he know this is good to rest in the long run? Remember, this dude was always trying to come back. Even after the Sacramento game, Mark Jackson had to say, "You're done. This is it." So this is like a 5-6 year thing of him trying to get back into games. Has he reached a point, do you think, where he says, "Yeah, I'm fine. I don't need to press it"?
A little more, a little more. Well, I think it's because he was pushing because those ankles weren't right, and he wanted to try to prove they were right. But now he knows they are right. He doesn't have to prove, well, maybe to some people, but not to Bob Myers, not to Steve Kerr, not to the people who are really important, not to Joe Lacob. He's already been paid.
Yeah, $201 million. I'm not forcing anything.
Fine. The team's good. They got a lot of different people who are going to play more, and all these, Although if you're Steph, you're competitive. You're like, they're winning without. Now I want them to win with me, right? I want them to win with me, not win without me.
That's going to be something, right? Hold on, y'all not about to just run off a streak without me.
And Draymond will be yapping on something, and they'll go back and forth, and they'll be group texting each other. But I think all things being equal, he's not going to need to rush it back. That mentality really isn't a part of it anymore, where he feels like, you think I'm injury prone, you think my ankles can't handle it. He's proven that. This is just a regular ankle sprain that isn't. He does it again. That's the worst part, right? The worst thing for Steph, for his psyche, for everybody really, if he comes back and then sprains it again in 2 or 3 games. Yep. That's where it becomes more like, here we go again. That's what it was like when, in his second, third year, where like every time he goes down, that ankle. Although I guess the last serious time where I remember was that Oklahoma City game, where Draymond tried to beat up Steve Kerr.
And Westbrook just lands on his ankle. I don't know how it didn't break. I thought he was done there.
That was the wildest game of all time. Not really. We knew when it happened. I mean, Steph gets hurt, goes off. Draymond screaming at Steve Kerr at halftime.
Draymond was terrible in the first half.
It was terrible the first half. Warriors are down in Oklahoma City. And then they come back and win on Steph Curry's freaking 32-foot, 35-foot shot, whatever. In overtime.
Remember, Kevin Durant made the turnover that led to the game time.
Iguodala. And then Iguodala gets fouled and makes 2 free throws. It was just still the
at the time, Iguodala was not making free throws. If you just took all of the games over this stretch, that's probably the most wild game out of all of them.
I would agree.
Playoffs, anything, right? Yeah, it wasn't a playoff game, Tim. It was not a playoff game.
It was a February game. But I also remember that as Steph Curry was on our podcast the week before, or a couple days before
that. Because remember, he went off for 51 in Orlando.
That's what it was.
And then he had the 46 that night. But it was Oscar Robertson. Remember?
Right.
That's what Oscar Robertson was saying. All you got to do is just press up on him.
Yep.
And he came. Right. That's right. So
I remember that podcast did quite well with the numbers. That
was So Steph came on and he got 97 points in 2 games, right?
Yeah.
After coming on
and hurt his ankle and game winning is Oklahoma City.
I just can't believe that his ankle wasn't hurt after that.
That's a good call, Marcus Thompson. What are the most memorable games? Playoffs included.
You guys hear how Tim is just bossing me around right now? When we get off this, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, I want to see that."
I wouldn't mind that, for Tuesday.
Yeah, can we see that? Right.
I just off the top of my head, Klay Thompson's the third quarter against. What was his third quarter against Sacramento? Yeah, third quarter against
Sacramento. 37.
Yeah, and then
you got to put Game 6 in there.
Oh yeah. I mean,
but just for the weight of it, it wasn't that wild of a game, but the weight of it. And what Klay did, that's crazy.
I guess just off the top of my head, I was just thinking,
60.
Yes,
Klay 60.
Yeah, 60 3/4.
You know what I'm putting in there? If I don't know how far we're going back, but if we're going 2012, 54.
Yep.
54 is in that game was wild. That was a loss too, by the way. They lost that game.
I don't even want to go. You just mentioned. I think that Oklahoma City. You know what? I'll put that Curry 3-pointer win overtime in Oklahoma City up with any game. That thing was just pure measure a game. He's like, that was just unbelievable.
That game was crazy.
You got to put one of those last games when they're winning 73. Just that March, maybe not even the last one, but then when they go back to back, what was it, San Antonio and Memphis?
And Memphis, yeah.
And to get to 71 and 72. It was incredible. Just the determination of that was unbelievable.
And Steph went off that game.
First one, I thought. Yeah, the first one. Because San Antonio, I think because San Antonio didn't play everybody and they kind of rolled over. It might have been the Memphis game. I forget now.
I think but even like outside of the great and the big wins, they've had some just wild games, right? Like when Steph fell and hit his head. That whole scene was just crazy. He's in a locker room. He's trying to come back. And like they've had a lot of games like that where it's like, what the heck is happening right now?
Drama.
Right? Like, but that's what made the Oklahoma City game crazy was because it was drama. It was great basketball.
National
crazy
national
ending, right?
TV.
That? I think that might have been. Was that the first game when the NBA started doing a Saturday night?
Might have been.
Yeah, those were some crazy times. We won't be seeing that for a while because Steph will be out, but
there'll be more games like this though coming up. There will be maybe tonight.
I wanted to ask you. Zaza sat out because of his shoulder. He came back, played 4 minutes, and was out again. This seems like one of those situations where the Warriors say, "Look, sit out, get this right," just because. Is he going to lose his job because of this?
No. To who though? To who? Who's going to start?
Jordan Bell.
Yeah. I don't. We know what Kerr feels about Zaza. I think in a I'm not going to say fair world, but in a non-Warrior situation, because Jordan Bell's better, but he's not going to do all the things Kerr wants him to do to start the first quarter and start the third quarter. That's Zaza screening. That's Zaza putting his body on people. And if all the other things he doesn't do, Kerr can live with in the first unit. So if you don't have Zaza starting, then when are you going to play Zaza, by the way? And Jordan Bell is the guy he just plugs in at certain points in times more and more. Now he's sort of in the JaVale role. And Kerr likes that.
JaVale, there's no chance. Remember we thought
JaVale's going to start.
Remember we thought JaVale You thought it too. You like JaVale.
I thought JaVale was okay.
He's off JaVale now. He's off the JaVale.
I knew he was not going to.
You and Bontemps were like the leader. Tim Bontemps from the Washington Post were the leading JaVale fans.
No.
Bontemps is a total anti-JaVale.
Going the opposite there. Opposite Marcus there.
I don't think Zaza will lose his job, nor do I think he should.
No, he's not. He's not going to lose
what
his
he
job.
brings to the start lineup.
Unless this is something that persists and he can't do certain things, then just put him on the injured list and bring Damian Jones up. And then you see a different rotation. I'm not sure how it would all work.
Because it's not going to be David West. He's got to be with that second unit.
He's going to start the second and the fourth. And it might be Jordan Bell to start games. It really might. Then it's crash course. Go see what you can do. But, you don't want to see him against Andre Drummond. You don't want to see him against Marc Gasol. There's some guys you just don't want to see him against. So they'll have to figure that out. It might be JaVale for those. But the role, the way that Steve Kerr has drawn it up is Zaza Pachulia. And I've written this. People kind of raise their eyes. I think Zaza Pachulia is a starter next year, too. I just think that's what Kerr wants out of his
You don't
center.
think he gets money next year?
Well, if someone's going to throw him $6 million
this year.
Yeah, he didn't do this year. I just don't see it, and he likes it here, and he's made money in his career, and he just fits this operation.
And he wants to go back to the White House of Georgia, right? So he needs a championship.
Yeah, you got to keep winning championships. Again, we don't know what the marketplace is going to be, but it fits what they like. The price fits them, and why not? He's happy if he's playing 12 minutes. He's happy if he plays 18. He can bang around with people. He's not old. I think of all the centers they have right now, Bell and Pachulia are the two I would bet on getting major minutes next year, and the rest I don't know about.
I think, but Zaza, he can be tough to watch sometimes. Right?
I've heard this from Warriors fans.
He can be tough to watch, but some of the things he does, they need it, right? And no one else does it. No one else on the roster does it.
David West a little bit, but again, you're not up in his minutes.
David West is like planted in his spot,
and you're not up in his minutes. Yeah, you're not playing him.
Second unit, like that's where he is. And you know what? He's playing so well at it.
Yep.
Why you don't even want to mess with that?
No.
The dude's shooting like 70%.
Yep. He does not miss that.
Elbow jumper.
Miss that 16-foot jumper.
Yeah, it's just like
he didn't make that. He did not make it last year.
Not with this frequency. No. Absolutely not. But whatever it is, he's so comfortable right there. You cannot touch that. So there's only.
By the way, right now with all these injuries, that second unit is their best. Well, their most tight. It's their tightest unit.
And it's the most. They have a chemistry and consistency together.
And that's always the one you go, God, what are they going to do without Curry and Durant out there? And Clay has not always looked great offensively with that group. But right now, you look at it, well, that's where they get cohesion. That's where they kind of steady the game with that second and fourth quarter start the quarter unit. And I think that's what another good thing about it. They feel like we're going to control the game. Yes. We're the group. We're going to go out there and and we haven't even mentioned Iguodala's name. You talk about defense. Iguodala lit it up defensively the other night, and I expect him to do that for a couple, for a series here. I think he feels good defensively. He doesn't feel great offensively. That's going to go hit and miss with him. I just think he feels great defensively, and he's just taking the ball away from people. And that's classic Andre. That's old Andre.
I think when you need him, I think he brings that in. Like when you need Andre and he gets that sense.
And that offense, maybe you can't just go Andre, we need you offensively because that's going to come and go.
In the playoffs, I'm telling you, he's going to have a 20-point game when you don't expect it. Yeah. Andre's going to come through. I wonder about this rotation now. Like, obviously this road trip is about to be over, but you got some injuries. I'm assuming Patrick McCaw is going to be back, but no Zaza and no Steph. Like that's your point guard, your center. Yeah. So it's probably gonna mess a few things up. But if you're gonna do it, now is the time to do it in this part of the season. Heading into All-Star break.
After going 5-0 on the road to start the road trip.
After going 5-0 to start the road trip.
Yeah, so Kirk, he loves just throw Quinn Cook out there. Throw whoever you want to out there. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, geez, look, you're already getting. You get Caspi out there. I like Caspi's game. He's an interesting player. He's horrendous on defense. He is, other than the long arms, maybe knocking them. The guys go right.
But he look like he's doing something on defense.
He does. He's
got that look. He's so active. And
then you just look. One thing I've always done, me, like just look at who's guarding the guy who gets the easy basket. Who's guarding him? And the Warriors, they're in a lot of those guys. They're just, even Steph, guys don't get easy baskets all the time off him. Just look, when guys are driving to the basket, just look who's guarding them. And a lot of times it's Caspi.
So I want to rip him. Is Caspi making your all?
He's getting a look. Unfortunately, you do get a closer look when you're on the Warriors. You do get a closer look.
And you know what? Oddly enough, he passes up a lot of three-point shots.
Yeah.
Which is like, dude, do you understand why you're here?
I don't remember. I mean, I always know he's had that hitch with a three.
Yeah.
I think it's getting more exaggerated. I think it's
he can't get it off in time.
It's slower.
Yeah, he can't get it off in time.
I remember that time when he went off on the Warriors when he was going crazy on the threes. I don't remember it being this slow.
But you know what? I was looking at that. He was far.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't on the line. He was far.
He's not taking those anymore.
No, he's not. I thought that's what he would do. You know who's really embraced, hey, man, we need you to shoot? Nick Young.
Shocking that he would do that.
Nick Young.
He would embrace that if you said, don't shoot, Nick, right? And he'd go,
Nick
okay,
Young
I'm going to shoot now.
Hey, I have no problem pulling these up.
Yep.
But, he's playing D and moving the ball.
Yeah, they'll take it. Again, he's going to do some dumb stuff, and they know it, and there's going to be terrible shots. But right now, if you're just a guy who's going to shoot the ball every time you can, the Warriors have an offense that lets you kind of do that because they're going to move it around. They're going to move it around, and boom, then you better shoot it. Don't pass it.
You have to be guarded. They want to draw people out there.
Don't pass it to Iguodala when he's 22 feet away. Pass it to Nick Young when he's 22 feet away. It's just the way the Warriors. Again, it's not ideal, but why not? With where they're at, with Curry out, it doesn't kill them. I mean, again, it's going to kill them at some point in some game because Nick Young's going to do something stupid or three things stupid. Right now, it's all right. It's all right with them.
Right now, it's all right. You wrote about why the Warriors are so emotional. Mm-hmm. And,
they are.
They definitely are. Lead the league in ejections.
Yes.
Durant, especially, is a guy who's been emotional. Obviously everybody has read your great column on theathletic.com/Bay Area, but just in case no one has, why are they so emotional?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of different things happening, and the one I want to get out of the way fast, which I did put in like the fifth reason, they're not getting a lot of foul calls. I don't think that's necessarily like the referees.
Hold on. This reminds me of we need to bring back a segment right now. TK's going soft. Cue the TK's going soft music.
just saying it's one thing
I cannot believe that you allowed yourself to give in to fandom. You literally put in there they aren't getting calls. This is a violation of decades of stringent philosophy.
Yes, and I still do that, by the way. I still do that. I get a lot of people mad at me. Like during the Livingston thing, I said the referee's at fault, but you can't do what Sean did. You cannot do it. And by the way, Sean and Steve Kerr said the same thing. You can't do it.
They know.
It's not, you can't say, oh, the referee was walking to him, so you can lower your head and knock him. No,
why not just two-piece him, right?
You can't do that.
Why not just jab him?
I have credentials still in this category, but I'm just saying, if the Warriors are getting mad, why? That's the thesis. Let's try to figure out why this is happening. They are getting their foul differential is a lot worse than it's been, and way worse than it was last year. And they do have Kevin Durant, who can get to the line, and it's not happening this year. It happened more last year. So just saying, statistically, what's building up in the Warriors' head, the foul thing could be building up in their head. I think more than anything, though, it's an emotional us versus the world. Everything they do is important. Everything is being explored. Everything's on SportsCenter. If they shoot an air ball, that's on SportsCenter. There's a pride in this where if someone is taking it to them, and we know teams love taking it to them, which is fine. This is
and
what you
talking
want.
while they do
which is fine. You want that. You don't shy away from that. But when all this stuff is happening, you get emotionally amped up on certain things, and that can funnel right to the referee when you don't think you're getting called. And if they are not getting certain borderline calls, even if a lot of guys don't get borderline, a lot of teams don't get borderline calls, it builds up in them and they snap occasionally, and way more than we're used to. Steph snaps. Draymond obviously snaps. Durant snaps. Livingston snaps. It's just this build-up. They're so big now. Everything's so important. People are in their face. If they're down 7, the crowd's screaming at them. Where's that emotion going to? It's going to filter there what they do on the court. It's going to filter to what they feel about a certain referee's call in the moment,
or a certain referee.
A certain referee. Well, we know there's plenty of referees they don't love, but it just is it gets almost like a paranoia. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's like everybody's looking at us, everybody's against us, everybody hates us. We're okay. You're trying to screw us right now. That's what you are, and I know that. Listen, that's athletics. You talk about them. We've talked privately. They do believe certain things about certain referees, but all competitors do, because you're in the heat of the moment. You don't say it. You don't react to it all the time. They're not beginning. They have reacted to it a lot of times this season.
Yeah, I think a part of it too points to just how they have not locked in.
Yep.
Because that stuff can get to them, right? Yep. DeMarcus Cousins talking too much can get to them. Yep. When they're locked in, it can't get to them, right? They've kind of determined. Yep. And you know what? That's Steph Curry. That's Draymond Green. That's Kevin Durant. That's Steve Kerr, who probably is going at the refs just as harder than them, right? So it's a little bit organizational at this point.
No, we talked
you know who the calmest dude is? Joe Lacob. Where's he? We haven't heard Joe
screaming. Oh, wait a minute. No comment on that last part. Also, I think it goes a little bit to the Hamptons 5 discussion we had last week. That's where they just go, click, here we go, game's over. That is not happening. Obviously with Steph out, it's not going to happen for a couple of weeks. But just that sense, okay, we don't have to get mad at you because we're just going to blow you off the floor. To your point, that they're not focused. I think they're a little tired. I think they're a little ornery. And that's all part of them being in the spotlight and have all these off-the-court stuff jammed into 2 less months than they used to have. And it's the pulling at them and the responsibilities and the media, and then it just builds up and it builds up, and
first take, and they're watching it.
Absolutely, and just like it gets a little chip on his shoulder, but chip on his shoulder's fine.
Yeah,
it's just if you don't use it to go at someone and maybe it hurts you. Now, by the way, it hadn't lost them any games so far.
It's crazy, right? We talk about them like they're 500.
Exactly, it might have helped them a few times. But you don't always want to do that. You don't. As I wrote, you just don't want it to snap when you're down 2 in game
Hey,
for
Kevin
Cleveland.
Durant said he only gets thrown
Yeah,
out.
I know. I had not heard that before. By the way, I always know when I can do like, okay, let's go. I should have gone back and like, when exactly has he been thrown out in these games?
So how about you not get thrown out, right? If you got that kind of control, how about you not get thrown out?
Although Steph's never been thrown out in the middle of a game, it's always at the end.
Yeah, it's always at the end. I don't. The one time he got thrown out, he was already disqualified. But I was thinking that game wasn't over. It was game.
Yeah, but no,
was it game 5 or game 6?
It was in Cleveland.
In Cleveland, yeah.
So it was 6.
Yeah,
it was 6.
game 6.
Yeah,
that game wasn't over. They were like coming back, but he fouled out, and then he got ejected. So he was already out anyway.
And use that mouthpiece.
You might be right. You might be right.
These guys control. These guys have.
They might know. I have the luxury of losing it right now. You know who doesn't lose it? Clay.
No.
When does Clay lose it?
Never. He just goes right through it. I mean, he gets mad sometimes, but he just goes right through it.
Yeah, but he doesn't lose it.
Yeah, he doesn't burn hot like that. He just doesn't. It's who he is.
He's probably better for it.
Yeah, he goes out and works through it with Rocco.
All right, so we're gonna get out of here. Warriors plus minus, the Courtyard Marriott.
Beginning to liven up in
the
here.
Warriors game is on, so it's about to get lit in here. There might be a party. I don't know if TK's saying I'm leaving.
Well, right now, the Pistons are up 18-15. This is a live commentary. I'm sure you're very excited about that. All right,
we're out.